How about we talk about the NFL and the controversy over kneeling in protest during the National Anthem? Do the players have a First Amendment right to kneel during the National Anthem?
No, because the NFL is a private organization, which isn't bound by the First Amendment rules.
Okay. All right, that's it.
I just think it's an unwise policy to prevent football players from taking a knee to protest what they view as excessive police force against them. You know, the Supreme Court, when the government has tried to enforce patriotism norms, for example, there was a famous case where Jehovah's Witnesses children were made to salute the flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance in class, and they sued, and they said that that violated their First Amendment rights, their freedom of belief, their freedom of conscience, to have to do something that they disagreed with. Like the NFL players are saying, it violates our conscience to have to stand to promote patriotism when we have this big issue with what's going on in our country. And the Supreme Court originally sided in favor of the government, saying that the Jehovah's Witnesses children could be disciplined for failing to salute the flag. And this was in 1940, but what happened in the wake of that decision then, Jehovah's Witnesses became subject to a lot of persecution by people. And the Supreme Court started seeing this and rethinking their decision. And so in the famous case of Barnette versus West Virginia School Board, the Supreme Court reversed itself, and it said, no, we think that compelling people to say and do things that violate their belief or their conscience, even in the service of patriotism, to foster a spirit of patriotism, violated the First Amendment. And so even though the NFL isn't bound by the First Amendment, I think that they would do well to sort of heed those words and to recognize that you don't promote patriotism by forcing people to engage in patriotic acts where they're not fully on board with that.
Now, as far as teams, threatening, fines or suspensions to their players, they're totally able to do that, right?
They're totally able to do that, and as I understand this policy, it's just making them stay in the locker room. But they can be fined, I suppose, if they disregard that.
So President Trump tweeted that NFL players should be suspended if they kneel during the National Anthem. Should the President of the United States have any influence on the subject? I don't necessarily remember another president doing that, taking such an active approach to something that's happening in a professional sport.
Yeah, and I don't either. And in fact, it gives some weight then to the argument that the NFL should be bound by the First Amendment, because the court has ruled in other cases that if the government pressures a private actor into committing a constitutional violation, like a free speech violation, then the private actor is liable for the violation, just like the government would have been. And so I think here there's sort of a decent argument that given the bully pulpit that Trump has used to basically cajole the NFL into adopting this policy, could make the NFL a state actor or a government actor for the purposes of this policy. So it could make them, at least it strengthens the argument that they are violating the First Amendment when they prohibit players from taking the knee.
Mm. Yeah, it seems like the president does this thing where he's just, I'm just talking. What if this should happen? What if this would happen to go down?
Yeah, so it's indirect. And a lot of people say this really has nothing to do with Trump. It really has to do with money. And the NFL is afraid of losing viewership for people that don't like to see players taking the knee, and there's probably a lot to that too.
Well, they definitely lost me. I don't like to see giant men holding hands. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed our video. If you have any questions about the First Amendment or free speech in general, let us know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and make sure to click the little bell icon so you get notified anytime we release a new video.